Okay, in this video I just want to quickly explain the difference between the for each and the for loop. The first very important thing you need to understand is that you can only use the for each when you're traversing an array list directly. So in this case, list which we're traversing here is of type array list. Okay, so how do we understand this for each? It simply says go to each element in list. And then notice there it's been typecasted as participant. So each element in the list we know is a participant. So we say go to each participant in list and call it current every time you visit it. And then inside the loop, in this case, you call the display method of the participant class. Right, just to show that you could also use the for loop, you don't need to use the for each when you traverse an array list. So at the bottom I've repeated the display method, now just using the for loop. So notice you're going from the first element in the array list 0 to the last element at list.count -1. Okay, very important to note now inside the loop, normal list X is not known as a participant. Remember that thing of pointing to the middle of the circle? So you need to typecast now inside the loop, because list X is not automatically a participant. So now you typecast it to participant and then you assign it to current, which is of type participant, and now you can say current.display. So just to emphasize the concept of typecasting, you would not be able to say listX.display because listX is an object. It first needs to be typecasted to a participant before you can call participants display method. Right, so let's look at the difference between traversing the list in the manager class towards traversing the list in the application class. First, very important thing to understand is in the manager class your list is an array list. In the application class your list is an instance of class manager which simulates a list. Okay, so you'll remember your array list in the manager class will start at 0, where your simulation of a list in the application class or the instance of manager starts at 1. So that's the first important difference to note. Secondly, you can only use the for each when you traverse the array list. So in the application class where you traverse list as an instance of manager, you must use the for loop. Okay, so whenever you traverse the list in the application class, your for loop starts at 1 and it goes to list.count as a method. Notice that again, list.count is a method of class manager. So if there's 6 elements, it goes from 1 to 6. Okay, so how do I address a specific element when I'm in the application class? I call list.getX. Notice in this case I cannot say list square bracket x, because that would imply that list is an array list. But we know that when we're in the application class we're working with a simulation of a list called manager. So I've got to say list.getX. Those of you that are sharp would have noticed by now that I don't really need this whole for loop thing in the application class to traverse the list. I could simply say list.display, because display is that method we spoke about at the start, which was written inside the manager class. A better example of traversing the list in the application class would be this one. In this case we don't want to display all the elements, we only want to display those participants who are younger than 20. So we need to build in an if statement that says if the age of the current one we're looking at is less than 20, then we display that participant's details.